Yes, sir, we're officially back at it. This is Boog Nice coming at you with the SH Figuarts Avengers Infinity War movie, Black Panther and Tamashi Effect Rock Deluxe Box Set review. Let's do it.
This ain't for no scalper. You a scalper? Then fuck out shit. This one's for them real collectors. That's army building and posing figures. Marvel Legends, imports, mini matey, I'm fucking with them. Hype beast, we know about you. Stay buying figs, don't know about you.
And a quick look at the side art. You can see a picture of the figure down there. It says SH Figuarts, Black Panther, Tamashi Effect Rock. And on the opposite side, bit more the same. Alright, let's get this guy open. Alright, so I've got T'Challa, aka the Black Panther, out of the package. This is SH Figuarts' second Black Panther release. They did one from the Civil War movie, and now they have one to represent his look from the Black Panther solo movie, which led right into Avengers Infinity War, where he was wearing the same costume. And I think they did a decent job here. I'm not blown away. I do think it is an upgrade from the previous version that they released, but I do think Marvel Legends put out a very nice version of this costume as well. We'll see how those stack up. This is something that SH Figuarts has been doing recently, where they'll release the Japanese version, where it's just the figure, and then the US release will be packed in with some Tamashi effects. So they've done that with Cap. They've done that with, I don't know, a few others. Star-Lord, different figures. So obviously you saw he was packed in with the Tamashi Rock effect, which is their newest effect, if I'm not mistaken. Out of the package, he comes with two fisted hands, and these look good. You can actually see the claw on his thumb on both hands. So attention to detail. And there's a look at the wrist pegs. And he's got a pair of open palms with the fingers slightly spread. And these look fine, no issues here. And then he's got another set with the fingers a bit more spread. It looks like he's in that ready to go mode, like he's ready to attack or on the defense. And these look good too. And finally, he has the set with the claws extended. And these are definitely for attack mode, I would say. And this was something that they did not include with the first release of Black Panther. They did not include a set where the claws were distinctly out. So they actually have a bit of an upgrade here, which is great. I'm glad they actually were able to redeem themselves from that first release, because that was absolutely a failure. And before we get into his additional head sculpt, which is his final accessory, aside from the rock effects, which obviously we'll look at, let's look at this particular head sculpt, which I think looks pretty good. You can definitely see some fine details here around the front, and some little pattern here on the side to the left and right of his eyes. And I think the shape and everything here looks good. I don't really have an issue with this. It's decent. And there's a look at that neck peg, and there's a look at the additional head sculpt, which reveals his eyes. And I think the paint work on the eyes looks very good, and he absolutely looks like a panther here with the slides open where you can see his eyes. I do like this. This is pretty cool, especially for display purposes if you're going to do panels or something like that. And then there's a look at the rock effect inside of the clamshell. You can see there's some additional parts. I guess you can put the rock together and then put it on a stand. I'm not sure what the science was behind them giving him a rock that kind of looks like lava. I don't know. This is something they probably could have included with Anakin that they just released too. But yeah, let's put this together and see what's up with this. And there are instructions, but even with the instructions, I have no clue what I'm doing. I'm an idiot. But yeah, this looks like molten rock. If my daughter is watching this, that's for you, since that was one of your vocabulary words recently. Alright, I think I know what I'm doing now. I don't think there's any right or wrong way to attach these smaller parts to just cover the outside, so that way this little hole is not showing on the outer rim of the rocks. And I do believe these go together like this, but you have another little package here that has some little pegs that you can use to attach the rocks together, and I didn't see this at first. So let me get this out and I'll be able to put that together as one mass. Alright, that was a pain in the ass to get out of the package, but you got these two little pegs here which you can use to attach the rocks together, and this was packed in that little plastic too. This is what you'll use to pry that out in case it gets kind of stuck. Let's see how that works. Alright, that looks good. And then we'll do this side, and that's a done deal. So now you got a complete rock mass that you can stand your Black Panther on and then you can use the stand if you want to kind of elevate this, I suppose. Yep. But this is very heavy, by the way. This is heavy. If you want to injure someone, you can throw this at their head. And I'm not going to break out the stand. It's just unnecessary. Let's get into the details on the figure and his articulation. Really nice textures here throughout the costume, and a lot of nice little intricate details and patterns and what have you here. Mostly black with just the silver highlights. It looks clean. It looks movie accurate. I'm not really a fan of some of the proportions here, though. It looks a little odd. And I think that the first release looked a little odd as well. Although I do still feel like that one was better than the Legends version at that time. Again, we're going to get into some comparisons, but they did some interesting things here as far as the articulation scheme goes, and there's some things that I like, some things I don't like. But the head is on a ball joint, and it moves independently of the neck, so you do get a decent range of motion there. You can move the head on the neck, and then the neck moves as well, and you can get them to look up and down, left to right, pivot, all of that good stuff. Really nice range of motion on the head. Really nice range of motion on the shoulders. They're going to come up pretty far here. And then there's a ball joint there as well as a butterfly joint. You get a nice swivel. You get a simulated upper bicep swivel. Although there is no cut here, it still rotates really well. And you can get his arms in pretty close. I do like what they did here as far as this butterfly joint goes. You do get a double jointed elbow. It's hindered just a little bit by, I guess, this gauntlet here. But you can actually rotate the wrist at the gauntlet there as well as here at the wrist, or rotate the forearm and the wrist, and you get a hinge on the wrist. Upper torso articulation. This is something new. You can see the joint in there. You would think it would actually go a little bit further back, being that they have that sort of hinge joint in there, but that's pretty much as good as you're going to get. And then you can turn them just a little bit at the waist. I'm not sure what's going on here at the waist. I think that, I don't know, I feel like they intended for you to be able to turn them, but it's not turning as much as I would like, and I don't want to force it. And then at the hips here, you got like a double ball peg, which is something they've been including recently, and it'll rotate there. So it has like a simulated upper thigh swivel, and it's sort of like a butterfly joint there too. And you can get his legs up pretty far. And he does have a double jointed knee, but it's hindered. This I don't like. I don't really like any of the articulation here in the lower pelvic area down to the legs. It just looks awkward when you want to get him crouching because the knee doesn't really bend back as far, and that was an issue with the first release as well. You do get a hinge on the foot. You do get a decent pivot. I wish that was a little deeper. You do get a toe joint, but it's really these legs that bother me, because the knees don't get enough articulation, and you can get them crouching and get them into some decent jumping and running poses, but these legs, man. And it will pop off at the socket here if you want to readjust and get this back in. Obviously it's not broken, but dealing with these legs is kind of a pain in the butt. You can definitely work the joints to get them crouching low, but this looks awkward, and definitely from the back that looks a little awkward, but you can see how far the legs can rotate. It's weird because they've given us great articulation schemes with the Spider-Man figures. I guess it's pretty decent, but something ends up looking awkward about the sculpt with a lot of the SHF figures. They haven't quite nailed the super articulation schemes on the figures yet, as far as it looking proportionate and looking right, in my opinion. This is pretty much the best you're gonna get as far as getting them crouching. Alright, getting into a few size comparisons. On the far left, you can see the Civil War version of Black Panther, and on the right, you can see the Avengers Infinity War Captain America, which had a decent looking buck, but I just was not a fan of the head sculpt. It looks pretty awful, and you can see how those stack up. I do think that this newer version of Black Panther definitely looks better than the first release, especially with the silver highlights. The black looks better. The mask looks better. Let's see real quick if the mask can be swapped. You can see the newer Black Panther, the head sculpt is a little larger as well. Yeah, that works. This is the Civil War Black Panther head on the Avengers Infinity War body, and the pegs are the same, so that works. Let's see how it looks the opposite way around. And there's a little treat before I move forward with the next size comparisons. This was a custom head that I had for the first SHF Black Panther release. Doesn't really look like Chadwick Boseman too much, but it's cool. And it works here on this newer version. And then looking at the Marvel Legends version of Killmonger on the left, that was the first release that came in the Okoye Build-A-Figure wave. And then the Black Panther on the right from that same wave. So looking at the Legends versions with the SH Figuarts versions, I don't know. What do you guys think? I do think that the Legends version still holds up and still looks very, very good. I think the proportions look good. I do wish the Legends version was a bit more muscular like the Killmonger on the left, but then again, obviously Killmonger had a much more muscular body type, so it was more screen accurate. But I do think the Legends version definitely stands up to the SHF version here. Again, like I said, I think the SHF version has some weird proportions going on, and this Killmonger was money. Let me swap out the this one with the other one real quick. That was the unmasked Killmonger that came with the with Ross in a 2-pack, and you can see how that looks. And again, that looks great. That's definitely standing up to the import. And there's the Legends Okoye on the left, and one of the Nakia figures, which I was using as just a random Dora Milaje soldier, and that's a custom head on that body from a casted head from Glassman Customs, and then painted by my man Alex Garcia. And one final Legends comparison. I believe this was the Walmart exclusive Panther on the left. And on the right, that was the Pink Panther that was repainted all black, so I can have a sort of modern all black Legends Black Panther. And now Hasbro's going to be releasing pretty much the same mod as one of their vintage wave figures. So it looks like they took a note from one of the customizers in the community, like they tend to do pretty often. But yeah, you can see how those stack up. All right, I'm getting up out of here. I guess this is one more comparison. We got the SH Figuarts Avengers Infinity War Doctor Strange and the Mark 50 Iron Man. Is it Mark 50? Yes, Mark 50 Iron Man, which is one of my favorite armors from SHF. And seeing these guys together and seeing the beginnings of an Illuminati looks great. But you know, you heard my gripes about this figure. I think he's okay. I think you're doing all right just picking up the regular Japanese release. You don't really need these rock effects, I suppose. But he does look really nice side by side with these guys. It's not one, it's nothing really much to write home about. It's not one I would highly recommend. But if you're a completist and you're trying to get all of the characters from the Avengers Infinity War movie, then go for it. Don't spend too much. Don't overspend. Don't jump out the window, putting down too much money on this guy. But it is essential to your crew if you want to get a Japanese import version of your Avengers team. All right, so again, New York Comic Con is going on right now. I should have a couple of more reviews coming out, including the Mezco Doctor Strange and the SH Figuarts Ant-Man with the Ant, which looks really interesting. So stay tuned for that. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, peace.
That's crispy.